Grand Rising, dear family. Wagwan to every melanated God, angel, or reached evil pharaoh in existence. I am our soul's first lieutenant, God's first lieutenant, and I have order for you to follow. This video is simply going to be titled The 16 Evil Supremacy Dimensions Focus Hierarchy, or a revisit of the 16 Evil Supremacy Dimensions with more detail versus the video I did about 3 weeks ago. When I did this the first time, the 16 Evil Supremacy Dimensions, or when I talked about it the first time. So, what are they real quick? Broken down into 4 sections, 4 sets of 4. 4, 8, 12, 16. 4, 8, 12, 16. 4 times 4 equals 16. And they're just going to simply be single words. The first 4. War, disrespect, imbalance, and or chaos. War, disrespect, chaos, and murder. The second 4. War, hatred, division, and stagnants. The third 4. The opposite of calmness, violence. The opposite of serenity, disturbance. The opposite of love, hatred, once again. And the opposite of righteousness, unjust, or injustice, or injustice. And then the final 4. What's evil, ugly, abnormal, and artificial. Those 16, they're not necessarily a full 16 words. It's more so like 14. Because I'm repeating war twice, and then I'm also repeating hatred twice. So like 12. But with the way I'm perceiving this, or the way I'm trying to label and describe this to you, this is an analyzation of the source of all immoral authorities, personality. You follow what I'm saying? This is an analyzation of the source of all immoral authorities, personality, law of Genesis. How a thing started out is how a thing will remain. How a thing started out is how a thing will remain. If a thing is born evil, it will remain evil and get worse throughout all the days that it exists. Now, I want to explain to you the significance of this hierarchy here and why do I have it the way I have it set up. So I have this sequence, or I have this here lineup known as the final 9 soul liberation hierarchies. The one for this video that I'm telling you about is the 5th one. I've covered the first 4 multiple times already, and I just did a video, like I just did 2 videos yesterday covering the, or 3 videos yesterday covering the second set, or after the first, meaning I did the soul directional hierarchy, and then I did the 12 divine task hierarchy, and then I did the 12 environmental purification forces, and now we are on the 5th hierarchy of the entire total list, the 16 evil supremacy dimensions, the personality and analyzation of the devil itself, meaning the wielder of the sword, the one that is boring the sword into the family body globally in order to keep them bound into a position of failing at everything and suffering to death. And we have all grown accustomed to this chaos due to how long it has been attacking us and ensuring that we would grow accustomed to it and used to it, and/or used to it. Moving forward, been attacking us for generations. So, 4 words I want you to take with you for this to make absolute finite sense. 4 words: elements, senses, prana, environment. Elements, senses, prana, environment. Take those 4 words with you as I get ready to make this make even more sense, this whole 16 evil supremacies dimension. Elements, tying to your conscious mind, BKA your transpersonal plane, BKA your brain space. This entire reality, this entire earth and its sky and things of that nature is of your brain space. And in your brain space is where source energy derives from. If you analyze it, if you analyze its dimensional measurements. The word dimension in its Latin origin, dimitri, meaning measure out. the word dimension in its Latin origin, dimetri, meaning measure out. So when you measure out or analyze specifically where our source energy is coming from, according to the information and things of that nature as well, you'll find that source energy, the just love energy, is coming from our crowns, or it's deriving from source to within and throughout our crowns, and then throughout us all into the physical environment or into our physical reality as prana, the prana standard. You follow me? Starts off as elements, goes through our senses, and then in the form of prana, and then to become the standard. Elements, senses, prana, environment. Now, those four, right? Those 16 evil supremacy dimensions, broken off into their groups of fours to measure out all the things that they are and the elaborate details of which they are. The way it's going to work, those evil 16 supremacy dimensions, all four of their roles will be targeting and or attacking this time. Not targeting to trigger the love energy, it's targeting to turn it into something opposite. Remember, all of my words are trying to trigger the soul's just love energy to move to within and throughout you all unto our physical environment. The enemy is trying to target our souls to trigger just hatred or unjust hatred to trigger that type of energy from our souls to move to within and throughout us into our environment. Always remember, never forget, this enemy is not about character development. This ain't no character development process in which we are going through. No. What we are dealing with is something simply trying to kill us all. And kill us all faster is what it is trying to do. And it is doing it to within and throughout the white people unto we, the melanated, globally. This is why primarily we are the only people in the world being targeted by their hell and by their malicious nature. Just be real. Stop trying to defend the darkness or the evil in which they told you to defend. This ain't no me trying to protect no white interests. This ain't no me being programmed to hate white people. This ain't none of that. Like I said, I recognize what they are doing, and I recognize why they are doing it, and I recognize why they will not stop, nor can they stop doing it, even if they wanted to stop doing it. And I'm just sharing my thoughts on how and why, and or in the regard in which I see them in their performance thereof, and with a source of what is driving their performances to be what they are. Just by the character analyzation or the behavioral analyzation and being able to label and describe it with the words that I just pieced together to be able to do so. You follow what I'm saying? So, war, disrespect, imbalance, or you can call that imbalance word chaos and murder. Then that's the first four right there. War, disrespect, chaos, and murder. War, disrespect, chaos, and murder. Or war, disrespect, imbalance, and murder. War, disrespect, imbalance, and murder. For chaos is imbalance. As imbalance is chaos. You follow what I'm saying? So, those top four things right there. Targeting the elements inside of us is what the enemy does with those four specific things I just said: war, disrespect, imbalance, and chaos. To within and through us, to within and throughout us, this enemy attacks those that set up the elemental plane. Let me just call it that. The transpersonal elemental plane. How about that? Or the conscious mind's transpersonal elemental plane. The conscious mind's transpersonal elemental plane. The enemy uses war, hatred, disrespect, and imbalance, or war, disrespect, imbalance, and murder to target our psyche's conscience, elemental transpersonal plane endlessly. Why? To elicit the evil or just hate energy within and throughout us all. As within, as without. So without. For that one, we can do without. For the evil, we can do without. I want to see if I can make this make more sense to you now. Next, you have the second set of 4. The war, hatred, division, and stagnants. Just war, hatred, division, and stagnants. Yeah, I'm using war twice because it's always war, war, war. Get you to fight, make you competitive, make you competitive. This is not character development. What the enemy is putting us through is not character development. It is simply trying to kill us all, period. Die faster. It wants you to die faster. I mind you that I'm talking about one thing here. These 16 evil supremacy dimensions are stemming and or deriving from one influence. One influencer. One influencer. Just one influencer telling you to do all of this shit. It's just one influencer. That's it. Moving forward. War, hatred, division, and stagnants. Remember, I said the major 4 words to focus on: elements, senses, prana, environment. Elements, senses, prana, environment. Focus on those 4 words right quick, as I'm telling you the four ranks, or the 4 sets of 4, in which labels and describes the persona of the true enemy of the world today. You follow me? War, hatred, division, and stagnants. Targeting the senses area. War, hatred, division, and stagnants. Targeting your, because the senses represent the subconscious mind or the egoic plane. So you can say your subconscious mind's sensual egoic plane. Your subconscious mind's sensual egoic plane. And let's never forget, ego, what it literally defines as. I don't go off of what you all feel like ego means. I do not wish to stay in your hell much longer. The word ego defines as the part of the mind, like the senses are a part of the mind, or like the neuromuscular junction is a part of the mind or brain. Because when you label and describe organic things and organic tissue, now you're talking about brain. But when you're talking about the 9 physical brain's powers, you're talking about mind. Mind non-physical, brain physical. Mind non-physical, brain physical. Subconscious mind though, heart area. Heart physical, subconscious mind non-physical. Heart physical, subconscious mind non-physical. Animals operate mostly on subconscious mind, not conscious. We have conscious as the sapient beings that we are. If there is another species of this planet that has a conscious mind capability to tap in, you want to know why we wouldn't know? Because of the devil's white people. Moving forward. Subconscious mind. The subconscious mind's sensual egoic plane, because the ego is what forms a connection between the source and the physical body. So that means your senses form the connection between the life force source's elemental derivatives and the physical body, in which this here ego forms a connection between, for it to funnel through you out, funnel to within and throughout you all properly. I'm going to get the words right. Moving forward. So, this part of the body is what the enemy sends war, hatred, division, and stagnants towards endlessly. It wants you to have the standard of what's violent. It wants you to have a standard of disturbance. It wants you to have a standard of hatred. It wants you to have a standard of unjust. That's what the enemy wants you to have. So, by putting war, hatred, division, and stagnants into your egoic spaces, sensual, subconscious mind realm, meaning the foundation, the inner heart of hearts, what will elicit as your standard will be violence, disturbance, hatred, and unjust. You follow what I'm saying? Violence, disturbance, hatred, and unjust. Those will become your standard if the enemy successfully succeeds in getting war, hatred, division, and stagnants into your heart space. Long story short. The third now. This is for the somatic plane, the prana. What will be coming out of your mouth as apana, or coming out of your body as apana. Udana is also the power of expression. That's what Udana is as well. It governs the power of expression as well. But then Apana is also the outgoing breath. to label and describe what you no longer need or want, or to cast it into the energy of which we no longer need or want. But how can you know of it to be something you no longer need or want if you don't even know what you don't like or would not like to get involved in? If that makes sense to you. The 5 prana forms real quick. Starting with prana, or prana vayu. Vayu means air or wind. Vayu means air or wind in Sanskrit. Prana, breath, considered as the vital principle or life-giving force, and where all the other pranas derive from. Then once again, udana, the upward moving air. Inhale, the upward moving air. You follow what I'm saying? And the power of expression. That's what udana vayu is. And then the third vayu being samana vayu. Samana vayu is your visual vayu, your aesthetic or austere vision, or your wandering aesthetic or your wandering austere. Buddha vision, Gautama Buddha vision, or how Buddha would see in a world like today. Serious, focused, or just in reality. Buddha is the type of man that accepted reality. Buddha is the type of individual, as you will all be soon, that accepted the state of things as they exist. Remember, our entire mind and or brain space, because this is the physical reality of which we are in, is of this here Earth Star chakra. I want to add this to it now. I have a parable known as the Chakra Tree Murray parable. I want to tell you more about the significance of it now that I've added the elements, prana, or the elements, senses, pranas, and environment ideology to this whole 16 evil supremacy dimension explanation. So I have 3 chakras within all 3 of those planes to label and describe the fundamental basis or the fundamental activities of each plane. You follow what I'm saying? Like for the conscious mind, I have the soul star chakra, crown chakra, and earth star chakra lined up as 3 things to be its one form. Earth star chakra, yes, the literal planet itself. Our brain space is the literal planet itself. Our brain space is the literal planet itself. Our mind space is the prana of the planet itself. Our mind space is the physical prana of the planet itself. You can buy whatever you want though. But when you look out into this sky here, and you look up and you see this air and these clouds, well, not the clouds, because them clouds ain't ours. When you look up and see this sky or this dome here, that's your brain space. When you breathe when you inhale air, when you inhale that prana, or you udana, inhale the upward moving air, that's coming from the atmosphere. That is your consciousness in which you are breathing in. As Brother KRS once said. Moving forward. Subconscious mind, I have the third eye chakra, throat chakra, and heart chakra. And for this here plane that we're getting ready to move towards, the prana area, I have the solar plexus chakra. Then I have the sacral chakra and the root chakra. All 3 of those chakras in one form. Just like in the subconscious mind area, the third eye chakra, throat chakra, and heart chakra, all 3 of those chakras in one form. And then finally, the conscious mind, soul star chakra, crown chakra, and earth star chakra. All 3 of those chakras in one form. And then there's one major key detail to mention as well. The space in which all 3 of these forms are in. All 3 of these forms are in one space as one thing. The driver of the actual you. And the vehicle in which those 2 essences are in. If that makes sense to you. So, what's the space in which they are in? What's the title of it? Akasha. Akasha is one of the 5 great elements. Remember, elements, senses, prana, environment. Elements, senses, prana, environment. What are the elements? The elements are, 1, that ether, or Akasha, the space in which we are all in currently. The Akasha space. The second element would be air, like Udana, you see? You see how they're all connected. And then the third element would be fire, Samana, vision. See how they're all connected? And the fourth element will be the water, Jala, or Samana, Samana Vayu. That's the fourth prana there, Samana Vayu, the feeling. And what is Jala? Jala is, the labels and describe a water that travels through our 72,000 nadis tubes, in which as weaves in and out through all of our chakras and keeps them all connected to the source, to the most high God's most love energy, so it can also continue to push its regular energy to within and throughout our minds unto our physical environment. If you give it a chance to flow through you, what's stopping you from allowing the energy to flow through you though? Do you know? Moving forward. So, Jala, Vayana, Vayana Vayu. And then the final one, Apana. That's the fifth there. That's the fifth one, Apana Vayu. And then the element, Earth, the goddess Prithvi. Now, just focusing on the elements, not the gods mentioned from Hinduism. Notice the connections that these elements have to within and throughout these senses. And these senses are also incorporated in the chakras, meaning the chakras and the senses are the ego. Chakras and senses represent the ego. So your chakra senses represent your ego, what forms the connection between the highest God or the most high God's life force source energy and our physical body's activities. You follow what I'm saying? Or our physical body's prana, or the physical manifestations of prana, if that makes sense to you. So, and what I'm labeling and describing to you is, as I call it, a prana standard, the prana standard. And what we're ultimately getting ready to do is plant the prana standard unto our environment. We're getting ready to plant the prana standard unto our environment. The prana standard is of all things good, beautiful, normal, and natural, or calmness, serenity, love, and righteousness. The prana standard is of calmness, serenity, love, and righteousness, and it manifests what's good, beautiful, normal, and natural unto the environment. If that makes sense to you. All concomitantly. In reality, it's all just really good energy, good and balanced energy. That's what it all is in reality. But I'm using extra words to let you know all the things and all as many areas that these words can possibly cover. I'm trying to cover as many areas I possibly can with root tongue. This is what this telling me. This is what this is. This is root tongue covering as many areas as possible here. The prana standard is what we manifest unto the environment. The prana standard is of calmness, serenity, love, and righteousness. And when we manifest those characteristics unto the environment, what reciprocates from the environment unto ourselves or unto our personal psyches, what's good, beautiful, normal, and natural concomitantly. You follow what I'm saying? If that makes sense to you. But as far as the enemy side, the opposite. Evil, ugly, abnormal, and artificial manifests unto our environment if we allow the enemy standards of violence, disturbance, and everything else of which the enemy is. Violence, disturbance, hatred, and unjust. If we allow the enemy to install war, hatred, division, and stagnant, start from the top. No, I'm about to just put it in a sequence. If we allow the enemy's war-bound, disrespectful, imbalancing, and murderous nature influence us and place its war, hatred, division, and stagnance, and writes its war, hatred, division, and stagnance energy unto our heart spaces, what becomes our standard is violence, disturbance, unjust, murder. And unto our environment will manifest what's evil, ugly, abnormal, and artificial. Hatred and injustice. The enemy gets these feelings, these fake feelings of influence. Remember, it is just an influence. Overall, it is just an influence. An influence coming from one person, one thing, one demon, one devil. The enemy, after the enemy influences these so-called white people, the enemy sword uses the 16 evil supremacy dimensions, of which it is, to bore its nature with the whites as a funnel, so to speak, into us. We who play as the seventh part of the story, and also the first four combined in one. And the first four parts of the story being the four fundamental forces of the natural standard, or the four fundamental forces of the Prana standard. How about that? You can call them the four fundamental forces of the Prana standard. And this here enemy is jealous of our Prana standard because our Prana standard just ain't what it is. Remember, this enemy that we are up against is just jealous of everything that ain't what it is. So it has to go war, hatred, division, and stagnants on anything it looks at, because everything is not what it is. Nothing is what this enemy is. So this enemy is jealous of everything. What is this enemy? War, hatred, division, and stagnants. War, disrespect, imbalance, and murder. Violence, disturbance, hatred, and unjust. And/or all things evil, ugly, abnormal, and artificial concomitantly. That is what this enemy is in a nutshell. And the enemy wants us to be as it is, or die, period. And how is the enemy able to influence us or force us to be what it is? Through these so-called white people, in which I will be covering in the next video, titled the 10 enemy regulation forces. The 10 enemy regulation forces. See, I'm going to say 10. Instead of 7 and 9, it's going to be 10. Is it going to mess up my Super Jesus 47 game? No. Neither is it going to mess up any of the other ones. It's just going to make them make more sense. All this information I just told you labels and describes the sword wielder, the devilish sword wielder. The next one is going to be the sword itself. I'm going to analyze the sword itself, but for this video, I just analyzed the wielder of the sword. It ain't me. I'm not wielding this sword. I'm trying to take it so I can use it for whatever I want to use it for. And the sword in real life, in reality, because let's not forget this is a spiritual parable here. The sword in real life, in actuality, is the white folks globally. All of them. Everywhere they are, and everywhere they be at, doesn't matter. The influencer is not the sword. The influencer is using the sword. The influencer is of this hierarchy I'm telling you about, which is the 16 evil supremacy dimensions, the fifth hierarchy of the final 9 soul liberation hierarchies. And once I get to the 7th and 8th one, that's when the proverbial kick will come into play. Kick the enemy off of whatever this here sword is. Then take the sword out and force sheath it. And then get ready to use it for whatever you want to use it for. Get ready for the next battle. Because I guarantee you, the demon who we just kicked away is going to come back. But then once you all know of what you're truly capable of, you'll have a way to stop it from doing even just that. Returning. This is the 16 evil supremacy dimensions revisited. Shalom, shalom, shalom. Again, may these words also too reach you for the purpose they were designed to reach you for. Soul freedom, soul liberation, soul sovereignty. And so, peace, love, unity, and advancement to you all, my family.